This whole Red Heifer situation from a few years ago, I think, is worth revisiting. Multiple Red Heifers, and this kind of goes along the line of like they're trying to bring about the end times. Multiple Red Heifers were like raised in Texas and sent to Jerusalem with the hope of like being sacrificed at this special temple and all this shit. What was interesting was at the time, if I'm not mistaken, like sitting U.S. congressmen and senators like sent these heifers to Israel. So there's like all this weird like U.S. political elite mingling with like Israeli elite to like make some of this like weird low-key, basically just occult stuff happen. So this is from a few years ago.
Gaza now entering its 6th month. The Israeli operation to root out Hamas terrorists there has resulted in the deaths of 30,000 Palestinians and 242 Israeli soldiers. The war started after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, killing almost 1,200 people and taking nearly 230 hostage, some still in captivity. Despite the deadly outcome across the region, one trigger for the Hamas rampage has been widely overlooked. Chris Livesay has the story from Jerusalem.
The infamous October 7 massacre that sparked a war. But one confounding yet eye-opening motive has escaped the headlines. In a recent speech, a Hamas spokesman blamed the Jews for bringing red cows to the Holy Land. The cows he's talking about at a secure, undisclosed location are these. Red heifers.
Did you guys know that there was a connection between what happened on October 7th and these red heifers? Pretty weird, right?
To be precise, some Jews and Christians believe they're the key to rebuilding the historic Jewish temple in Jerusalem and to beckoning the Messiah. To understand, you have to go back nearly 2,000 years when the ancient Romans destroyed the last temple in the city. To rebuild it, these believers point to the Bible's book of Numbers. It commands the Israelites to sacrifice a red heifer without defect or blemish, and that has never been under a yoke. Only then can the temple rise again. Caring for them on an Israeli settlement in the West Bank is Yitzhak Mamo.
So we have here, after a long research, we find in Texas.
In Texas?
Yeah, Texas, United States of America.
Texas Red Angus, flying them 7,000 miles to Israel.
This is not a publicity stunt.
What do you mean?
Meaning, this is something you take very seriously.
Harry Potter is a good story. The Bible is not story. The Bible is a way of God to lead us.
A massive
Totally
altar
normal.
already awaits, where the heifers are to be burned.
Again, multiple U.S. congressmen and like senators and shit. If I'm not mistaken, were at this like send-off breakfast when these left America to go to Israel a few years ago. Totally normal.
According to some believers, the ceremony needs to be performed right here on the Mount of Olives, looking directly into where the temple once stood. But something else now stands in its place.
The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, among the holiest sites in Islam. Today, only Muslims are allowed inside, but that's not stopping Jewish activists outside.
Once you got, we started here.
6 days a week, Melissa Jane Kronfeld leads groups from around the world who defiantly pray, as close as armed guards permit.
It's not about the destruction of Islamic holy sites. It's about preserving this place and being guardians over the house of God for all people.
So you're happy with it where it is?
No, it's going to go 100%. But I believe
It's gonna go.
It's 100%. Yeah, the whole thing's going to go. We have to build a temple.
When you say that Dome of the Rock has to go, MJ, it's hard for me to imagine something more incendiary.
Let me ask you something. The Middle East seems pretty destabilized right now. And the war, if I'm not mistaken, is already here.
I bet you that chick was stoked when all this shit with Iran popped off. I bet you she was like singing and dancing in the street.
Be clear, hers is a dream not shared by the Israeli government or by the vast majority of Israelis and Jews, but it's been enough to incite numerous Islamist groups. Hamas has dubbed its October 7 assault on Israel the Al-Aqsa Wave and has the Dome of the Rock on its emblem. But this is sacred ground to billions of Muslims globally, not just Hamas terrorists, stresses Imam Mustafa Abu Sway of Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Al-Aqsa Mosque belongs to all Muslims. So you'll find reaction from Indonesia to Toronto to New York. That's really given. Al-Aqsa Mosque belongs to all Muslims, and the Muslims today are 2 billion people. 2 billion people.
Simply by performing these acts, are these Jewish activists kicking a hornet's nest?
They are. They are.
A hornet's nest they're kicking all the way to Capitol Hill.
So good to see you here in the nation's capital.
That's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, at this, what I was telling you about, this send-off for these Red Heifers to Israel. So I think the Speaker of the House is like the highest ranking member of Congress. He's like the leader of his party within that chamber. And yeah, they're just all up in the mix.
Those sacred cows were showcased in Washington at a recent prayer gathering. Many evangelicals believe these red heifers will usher Christ's second coming.
We need the Messiah to come, right? So for me, the red heifer is red for the blood of Jesus Christ.
Back in the West Bank, Mamo says the ceremony could take place any day.
But can you understand why Hamas could be outraged by something like this?
I cannot understand that even if they are right, why they have to slaughter and rape people to win their war.
Terrorists have been attacking us before we ever dreamed of these cows, he reflects. They don't need them as an excuse to kill. For CBS Saturday Morning, Chris Livesay, Jerusalem.
So there you go. I think some interesting pre-context before all this of like these red heifers and this notion of a spiritual war and all this kind of bullshit going on percolating in the zeitgeist right now. Let's go ahead and continue along.